What's up, Libby?
It's Bell and Company.
Bell and Company. Yes, it is. Another episode of Bell and Company here. I am the Bell of Bell and Company, Mario J. Bell. And that voice you heard, well, you heard us both there, but the voice after me, that's Libby. Hey, Libby. Cheers.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Grandma Libby over here.
What's up, Granny?
And then that's Joe.
I'm good.
Joe Brunker, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
We're here for a cool another cool show. We're talking podcasting again, like we like to do with a lot of people on here, and also we're talking. Well, right now I'm just going to say it's another show right before Holy Week, or it is Passover. So I hope everybody had a good Passover day, week, however you call it.
No doubt. Yeah,
definitely.
And then let's go ahead and get going right into it. I don't want to run out of time. We got a lot to talk about. Let's welcome our guests. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Carter, and I am the podcast host for the Believe in Iowa State podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
He is a super fan, former alumni, right? Correct.
Yeah, I went there briefly for a bit to Iowa State. So that's my story. I went there for a year, and I became a super fan, and I go to games all the time, tailgate with everybody. And
you would fight with my old neighbor. He was a big Iowa fan, and I worked at what was it? INO. What was the one that's Northeast Iowa? I forget that.
Oh, UNI.
Thank you. Yeah, we carried the games on a station.
Not a fan of the Hawks.
No, they're just
the Hawks, right?
They're northern. They're northern Iowa, but they're all Iowa fans because they're closer to Iowa City than the names. So they're all.
So
Iowa
did
fans.
you live there after school or after college? Or?
I only stayed there for 1 year, but I still visited friends out there, and stuff. And I frequently go out to games, like about 4 or 5 times a year.
That or Dallas, right?
Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan, though. That's just,
unfortunately, I get it.
Unfortunately, hey man, they dominated the 70s and 80s. You know, maybe not so much 90s and now, but
yeah, I'm taking I'm being punished for that now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Iowa State and Dallas. I'm trying to think of the connection to the two, but you just like them.
They just they both let you down.
They both let
How was
down.
that? I thought you
man.
but don't you believe?
Or I'm trying to think who was from Iowa State that would have played for Dallas, but nothing's coming to my mind.
Buddy, I'm hoping there's a few guys in this upcoming draft that I hope get drafted by Dallas, but 2 receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. So those are guys to look out for, and then, but just like with that, just with Matt Campbell being there for like almost the last decade, he had that Iowa State has become a program where they can get NFL talent and make an NFL talent, and with the
they make them NFL talent.
They make them NFL talent, right. And
they had a really good run this year.
They did. They went 11-3. The first time they've won double-digit games in school history.
How often do you play actual Iowa, University of Iowa, or UNI?
We play UNI every other year, every other few years. We play Iowa every year. That's the second game of the year.
That's like a big one. Yeah. Big rivalry.
Yeah. Actually, this year will be our 3rd game because we're playing week 0. I don't know if you've paid attention, but there's in college football, there's always a week 0 game in Ireland.
I was going to say they go out of state or out of the country.
Yeah, they go out of the country. We're actually playing our biggest rival conference-wise, which is Kansas State, and we call that rivalry Farmageddon.
In Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland.
Are you going to Dublin's Fair City?
I am.
Oh,
I am.
Really?
I am. Yes, I'm very, very excited for this.
That's so awesome.
Will you do shows there, like there, podcasts and stuff?
I might. Who knows? I mean, there's going to be a lot of K-State fans there. I actually build a lot of my following through Twitter. So
that's
awesome.
You're an X guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely an X guy.
Not TikTok or Facebook or YouTube.
We're actually on all of them. So the way I was able to come up with the podcast, my friend, I don't. There was always a passion for me to always have a podcast, and I had an opportunity to take it over. And my friend's like, "Hey, man, it's yours now." So,
where did you start this with him in Chicago area or in Iowa?
In the Chicago area.
Oh.
So he my friend who was originally from the Chicagoland area, when I met him at Iowa State, he lives in Des Moines.
Okay.
And I we started podcasting about 4 years ago. in before the 2021 season, and we focused on Iowa State football recruiting.
Okay.
And that
Nice.
was like our main shtick to get in there, because we always had like spirited discussions after games. And then we always talked about, like, it was back in 2018, 2019. We're like, hey, you know what? We should start a podcast. Like, and then we were like, do we actually think that people would,
just to talk about Iowa State or football or just sports in general?
Just talk about Iowa State.
Okay.
And like, we're like, okay, you know what? Fine, let's do it. And we started it back in 2021. We were sort of more of a recruiting based show. And then when he was in charge of it, he focused more on recruiting. So we actually had former players who were on the team. He interviewed some of them.
That's
nice.
Some former recruits, and like,
wait, they would come into the Chicago area for it?
No, like,
or over the phone?
So, like, over the phone, like we have like certain podcast programs we use. Like at the time when we were our own show before under the Believe Network. Before we were under the Believe Network, we had Anchor that we used.
Oh, Anchor's nice.
Yeah.
Anchor FM and also video.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I want to reintroduce you to Facebook. You're on Facebook too. So say your name again.
Facebook. I am Tyler Carter, and I am the host of the Believe in Iowa State podcast.
Awesome. So anyway, so you actually were able to get the guest on like a video feed to talk to him.
Getting them on a video feed. And also what he did. My friend didn't use video. I like using video because it's a little bit more of an intimate setting, and like gets to know who the people are. And I know like we always live stream Mondays and Thursdays in the afternoon.
Unless you're like Libby, she's trying to be like incognito over there.
Yeah, well, she's wanted in all 50 states. So
yeah.
We don't talk about that live.
Yeah, right. Off here. Anyway, yeah, but
hush.
You actually like the video element of the podcast. That's interesting.
Yeah, it basically puts like a face in the name with all the hosts and stuff. And like my co-host is like, which the funny thing is that we have a good rapport. The thing is with my co-host, like I told you, like I connect through Twitter. I still haven't even met him like face to face yet. We've only talked through like video, but we have like this.
No
amazing,
kidding.
Yeah, we have like this amazing rapport already, and he's a student at Iowa State currently. So
that's so cool.
When you listen to the show, you get a fan perspective and then a student perspective.
An actual student. Yeah. All right, that's interesting. And you never met in person. That's wild.
We will this season. I told him like, Joe, we eventually got to meet and stuff.
You're definitely gonna have to do that at some point.
I kind of like the in studio where you're all together, but if you can't, video feeds work fine.
Yeah,
quite honestly, it's awesome regardless.
Definitely.
They have a they're very consistent about it, and it's really cool to have watched over the past few years.
Tell us about the network a little bit. What is
so
that?
The Believe Network is a network for like different pro team, like that has different pro teams on it. So it has like 32 NFL teams. It has a lot of college teams. Basically, what Believe does, like there's another one called Locked On that's the same thing, but they're all team-centric based podcasts that focus on like stuff that's happening around the team. And then there's certain like specific based podcasts, because we did a joint show with Believe in Iowa, and Iowa is more football based, but for our show we do football and basketball, and content wise that gives us about like 8 months worth of content, because that goes from
a lot
August
going on
to April. Yeah,
but if you tried to veer and just talk about the NFL in general or something, that wouldn't be something you would do on your show then. Probably it sounds like you're niched out a little bit.
Yeah, we do that, like, because like I had a pro scout on about a few months ago during the NFL Combine, and mainly for NFL fans, like, hey, maybe who are Chicago Bears fans, have a look at like.
Wasn't it here this year too? The Combines are in Chicago, or was that last year?
It's in Indianapolis every year.
It's every year in Indianapolis.
Yes, every year.
What do they do in Chicago? They do something.
They had
too.
the draft in Chicago in 2015.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, though.
Yeah. It was. I went to the one in 2016. Actually, it was fun.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then this year's going to be in Green Bay. But
that's there's a lot of factory smoke in that city for sure.
Yeah.
I've never been down there for it. I want to go, but I've never been.
Yeah, Green Bay is interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's very It's not what you're expecting for a football team town.
Well, I know in
Yeah.
at least NFL wise, we're big rivals with Chicago and Green Bay. But I don't know about colleges. I think
For
colleges we get along with
college-
them okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unless you consider like Illinois and Wisconsin like a big rivalry, or Northwestern and Wisconsin big rivalry.
The Badgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need no stinging Badgers.
Who's the biggest rivalry you guys have aside from Iowa?
Oh, it's Kansas State.
Okay, State.
They mentioned
maybe-
he's going to Ireland this year.
Yeah. So with Kansas State, like for the longest time, like historically, Iowa State has not been a good program at all. Like they were in like the doldrums for years and years and years. And then when like Matt Campbell came in like 2016,
Made a believer out of you.
Yeah,
Well, we were broadcasting on a radio station I was working at in 2009 and
Yeah.
10. They were winning,
they were
and so was you and I at the time.
they were winning, but not at the level like they were making bowl games, which is at Iowa State when you consider at the 80s and 90s when they were really historically bad, like they were winning, but not at the consistency that they are now. Because I think for me, I've always looked at it being going from bad to good is easier than going from good to great. And like
I like that.
we
That's
switched from with Iowa State when Matt Campbell came in, he got out all the bad guys from the previous coaching regime, and he set up his own culture. And like culture is like an overused word, but it is so true. But if you instill your culture in a program, like you will find the right players that you need to succeed. And so in 2016, they made a believer out of me when they hosted a top 10 team at home and lost off of a walk-off field goal.
If you build it, they will.
Oh,
Like,
I
if you
remember
build it,
that.
yeah.
They
If you
made a
build
big
it-
deal of that on ESPN,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
So like I believe then, and then in the 2017 season, they played at Oklahoma and won at Oklahoma after the week before their starting quarterback got kicked off the team, and they had a guy who started Kyle Kempt, who is now the offensive coordinator at Drake. He started with like basically no Division I college experience, went into Norman, which, if you know, Oklahoma's a storied program, and they were like number 6 at the time with Baker Mayfield. And Iowa State came in there and played a heck of a game, and they won 38-31. So like that, and then they beat a top 10 ranked TCU, and I was like, man, that I remember on like Facebook, I was like, man, Iowa State is for real, yo. And like just like every year that progressed, and obviously the recruitment of Brock Purdy, who was the starting quarterback of the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
The recruitment of him, the fact that Iowa State recruited him first, and then he had late offers from Alabama and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to pass up.
He didn't
like,
go. I was gonna say he didn't go to Iowa State.
Who? Brock Purdy?
Purdy.
He did go to Iowa State.
first
thought he
year or
didn't.
two,
No.
right?
Okay.
He went all 4 years.
Oh, he did.
Um,
All right, so he did end up at
He did end up at Iowa State.
Okay.
So like the fact that he stayed true, like that 2018 class was the one that turned it all around for Iowa State. And then
But he had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of
why I don't
opportunities to
remember
go
him even
anywhere else.
going there.
like he
Okay.
wasn't really put on the recruiting map. And Arizona is an underrated football talent in like the high school realm.
That's true.
Um,
That's very true.
Yeah, there's a lot of NFL pros in Arizona that make it to the league. But like,
I want to be clear on why you chose this type of podcast and this university. Just because you were a fan of them before, or just because you did go there?
just because I went there.
Okay.
But before, if we're talking about growing up, I grew up a Florida Gators fan actually, because
Ooh.
I had my grandma who tutored some of the athletes there, and then my aunt
Wow.
worked in the office of admissions. So going up through high school, I wanted to go to the University of Florida, but unfortunately things didn't work out that way. And I got accepted to Iowa State. I took a visit there, and then I fell in love with campus, and that's how I ended up going there.
Where are you from?
I'm from Aurora, Illinois.
Oh, so okay.
Yes, he is.
So, and right now I currently live in Wheaton. So my parents still live there, but yeah, I'm still in the western suburbs.
So western suburb boy, far
Yeah.
western suburb.
Yep.
But still, that's interesting. I mean, I get it. The people get really involved with their programs when they go there. I mean, my brother's a CU guy.
Yeah.
He went to Colorado, and I mean, everything is always he's got to stop whatever he's doing to hear what the scores are of the Buffalo. So and they've got Coach Prime there now.
Yeah, I mean a lot of people were like, oh, I don't know how he's gonna do coming from an HBCU, and like knowing that, like I was like, all right, you know what, let's give him a shot and let's see what happens. So and we play at Colorado this year. So
You do. You play a big game with them last year. Was it 2 years ago? Now I'm losing track of time, but I was like, whoa, okay. So see, it didn't make him look too good. I'll push it up. I'll just put it that way nicely.
Yeah.
CU, but he was starting out, and then I guess his kid is on there too. So
yep, him and Travis Hunter, they're now both going to be probably top 10 picks in this upcoming draft.
So. There you go.
So what's your favorite game you've ever been to?
Ooh.
In person. I'm gonna ask for basketball and for football.
So
not a CU one.
No, not a CU one. Football, it was probably the freshman year one when we beat Iowa in triple overtime, 44-41. That was an insane game. It was also insanely hot. We ran onto the field after we won, and I almost passed out. It was so hot. I was like, all right, let me go. Yeah, I was like, let me get off the field. Basketball I haven't really been to a lot of basketball games, mainly just because of the season. It's sort of hard to drive in the snow.
Well, with that football one, didn't people get in trouble for rushing the field and trying to take down the goalpost, or no?
No, people didn't try to take down the goalpost. Like I mean, we did last year, and like the way they build the goalpost now, like you can't really rip them down because they're sort of
they bend, right?
They
move.
They bend. So you can't really tear them down anymore.
Sort of like shoot you like a slingshot if you bend too far on it.
They'll shoot you like it's okay. You'll be flying. But I'll probably say it would be that one, and then the second one was when the top 10 Oklahoma State came in 2021, and we beat them. What was it? 20? I think it was like 24-21.
Ooh,
and nice. We rushed the field on that one too. So. Like
that's awesome.
Those are like my two top ones. Basketball, I really don't have any. It probably would be the one I go to since I can't make it during the season, because of the weather mainly. I go to Kansas City because that's where the Big 12 tournament is. And I experienced that for the first time last year.
I love KC.
Yeah,
it's such a cool city.
It's such an underrated city. The Power and Light District itself,
and the free museums.
Yes,
all the museums
the
are
barbecue.
Free. Yeah,
I love
barbecue. They're known for, that's for sure.
Arthur Bryant's. I went to there.
Bryant's?
Yeah, that's such a good place.
My spot is Q39.
Okay.
So.
That's. I mean, to me, it's like the whole experience of just being just the college sports. It's a big deal now. I mean, what is going on? Is everybody getting paid now? I'm a little unclear on how that's all working.
Yeah,
like Iowa State, everybody's getting like stipends. And stuff.
Yeah,
everybody.
So not everybody is there. Not everybody is getting like the same level, but everybody is getting something. From the team, and like with NIL, name, image, and likeness, like. What name, image, and likeness is supposed to be? Let's say you're like going for a company and like you like represent them and know you do an ad for them, but literally, basically, what it is pay for play. That's exactly what it is, because people, I don't know if you pay attention, but you saw the Tennessee quarterback just left because he hasn't, and because agents are involved now. So he was asking for $4 million. He was making $2.4 million.
Right.
And Tennessee wouldn't budge. We were like, well, we already have like 85 players on the team, and
considering they never paid him until a few years ago, anyway.
And really, depending on the type of program you are. And like all these programs have collectives. So basically, you have different boosters and stuff, and then you have fans that donate to the team. Or let's say, like, because I know what Iowa State does, we don't really have any like rich alumni. So what we have is we have different NIL beers.
Okay.
And we have this. Our thing is called the We Will Collective, and we have like different NIL beers that we have, and that will. When you buy beer from them, a proceed of that will go to the team.
Okay.
And like the way they divvy it out for the basketball team, the women's basketball team, and the football team.
Interesting.
So,
and that helps pay the athletes.
And that helps pay the athletes. Yeah.
I'm glad that speaking of women's basketball team, I'm really glad that women's basketball has more of a light shined on them lately.
Yeah.
and it's beautiful to see. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have brought a lot to it,
Definitely.
and quite a bit of
Wait,
the new players.
one of them they're from Iowa though, not
And the
Iowa
old
State. Wait a
players.
minute, Joe. He doesn't want to talk about that.
No, I will say that I have respect for Caitlin Clark now that she's not at Iowa anymore. I respect her talent then, but she's a hog. So,
Why do you think it all of a sudden got more attention? Just because they were winning so many games and she got all these points? So why do you think women's basketball all of a sudden cut off, especially college?
So I think the way that she plays is electric, and you don't really see that in the women's game. Her type of style of play is sort of like a Steph Curry, like in the NBA.
True,
like shooting those like almost those logo threes. And I like a lot of people. I'm like, oh, she could actually ball, and like bringing that type of excitement into women's basketball from like non-traditional viewers that don't really watch women's basketball. I think that's how like college basketball or women's college basketball got more notoriety and popularity, and like letting their other stars shine.
And I'll give credit to Angel because she's smart with marketing.
Yeah,
but aren't you jealous at Iowa State that it was Iowa, not Iowa State, getting all the attention? I'm joking.
Sort of.
I actually walked into the grocery store the other day, and Angel Reese's Puffs. I saw a box of those.
I just heard them. I just saw a commercial, I think, for them on TV. Actually,
it's so cool that that sport is the WNBA is finally starting to get that momentum, like a snowball effect.
Do you guys talk about NBA stuff too, or is it mostly college stuff?
It's mostly college stuff and NFL stuff. Like we probably should, because we do have like Tyrese Halliburton on the Indiana Pacers, and he's a star in the league, and he went to Iowa State for like 2 years. Ooh. So we probably will do some like NBA playoffs type stuff. Mostly like with me and my co-host really do football and stuff, and those are like our main things. But
have you ever tried to reach out to any of like the pro alumni, like the ones who are retired? Tried to get them on?
That's gonna be like the next iteration of this podcast. I know we've done 72 episodes so far, so we're almost like a year in of doing this.
Nice.
So at least now.
What is that? A couple of weeks, you said, right?
Yeah, we do a couple of week, and actually
Mondays and Tuesdays or something. What was it?
Mondays and Thursdays at 12:45 p.m.
Okay.
And we live stream through X, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay.
So
and then it goes to that network.
It goes to that network, yeah. So we
say the network name again.
Believe, BLEAV.
Got it.
So like I'll tease it right here on this podcast.
Tease away.
We actually have a member of the coaching staff coming on. We have the offensive coordinator of Iowa State, Taylor Mauser, coming on.
Oh, great! Really teasing me.
So
a big announcement right here on Bell and Company.
That's wicked cool.
So so like getting the stirring up the excitement for that, and like really that's our first big guest, because before that our first big guest was like having like a pro scout on, talking about Iowa State players, but really
pro scout's cool, yeah,
it was just cool, but like having a member of the coaching staff come on is absolutely amazing,
and that'll open up possibly even more doors to like getting more players on, getting other staff.
I think that's what they're thinking. That's what you want.
That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then another thing I wanted to do is just like because this is in the podcasting background, this is something that I wasn't well versed in. So this whole experience throughout almost this whole year journey, I've learned a lot of stuff of how to
It's kind of funny that we started right around the same time.
It's crazy, man. Learning to promote things, how to cross promote.
You do good.
I do the best I can, man.
What got you into it? Talk more about how this all came about.
So so basically what happened was, this was in 2024, around this time last year, April 2024, my friend was like, because I was like, hey man, I've been really wanting to do a podcast, and I was like, hey man, it's like, dude, it's like there's been so much going on in my life. And
what were you doing other than podcasting?
So right now, back then I worked for a radio pharmaceutical company, and I delivered medicine to hospitals in the Chicago area. So I still do that now, but like I also this is like my passion right now. So I was doing that, and my friend was like, "Hey, do you want to take this over?" He was like, "I'm like because I don't have the drive for this anymore. I'm gonna give this to you." He was like, "Do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah." So so the program directors for Believe, they contacted out to me and they wanted me to find a co-host. So I was like, man, because first I put it out there. I was like, "Hey, does anyone want to be a co-host with me on my podcast?" And I knew I'd have to go to Twitter because everybody that I know in like immediate circle doesn't really know
They're all on X, huh?
Yeah, they don't really know about like Iowa State. And like one of the guys I conversed with a lot, we always had like good spirited conversation. I asked him if he wanted to be my co-host. He was like, "Sure." And
Okay,
like,
sure, sounds good.
We went on a video chat with some of the guys from the Believe Network, and just they asked us like what we expected, coming in and what they expect from us. And then our first episode, like there was like a few bumps, and
Where are they based?
Believe is in LA. They're a LA based company.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What teams did they start with? Do you know any of that?
I don't like
that's
they
interesting.
They were probably reaching out to like tons of different people because they're like with a lot of Believe shows, they have like former pro players that used to play for them, or like announcers that played for them, or former GMs, or former college players, which is what like they were trying to get for us. But like I really haven't had the like luck of trying to find that yet. But,
I get that.
Well, at least for right now.
But you're a big Iowa State fan. You went there, so that counts.
That's what I'm saying,
good.
and that counts. Good. And like really like, and like the way like it was sort of bumpy for the first few episodes. Everybody knew that we were new, but like when you have a co-host that has the same passion as you, like it like people can hear that
energy
and they hear that energy in podcasts, or like sometimes we do like immediate reaction shows like right after the game, so you can hear our pure raw emotion,
the excitement,
and the excitement of
You're
it.
swearing on there. Well, you're not supposed to, really, but
we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And we try. And we try not to.
Do you take callers?
That's something that we're thinking about doing in the future.
That's the worry. It's like who's gonna like say something really off where you're like, okay, that's no more callers.
Yeah, you gotta have a little delay.
And I was like, do I really want to do that? And then I'm like, I don't know. But like, I mean, like the way we do things, and like, finally getting. Well, I believe it was like a month ago or a few months ago, where we got a new sponsor finally.
Oh, cool!
And just I'm like, man, this the work that we've been putting in is actually coming to fruition. We have our sponsor. We're sponsored by MyBookie, which is cool. A betting app. So we were pushing that during March Madness. And what we do usually, the way we like do our show, is we basically start off with Iowa State stuff, and then we look at the Iowa State's in the Big 12 conference. So we look at the conference as a whole, and then really mainly some other things that like we see that's interesting in the sports world. Or...
How do you throw in the sponsor? Then you just kind of say, "And brought to you by," or you do actual reads of ads.
So we don't try to like sound robotic. We usually would try whatever we're trying to like whatever we're trying to talk about. We try to incorporate it in. I'm like, all right. So we're talking about March Madness.
Yeah.
How about Cody and my sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Co-host's name is Cody. I was like, Cody, why don't we talk about our sponsor, MyBookie? So basically, I try to transition into talking about our sponsor so that it will sound like natural.
It's just a flow of conversation.
Right during the show, they call it like a baked-in ad. You just talk about it right on the show.
Exactly.
Don't stop or anything.
Yeah, no stop or anything. Yeah.
Right on. That's a good way to go about it, honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's or like say you're on a video, like, oh,
Yeah, right. You're drinking the product. That would work.
Try nice purified water from.
We did that on a couple shows. We had
Yeah.
the guests like put, hey, I want to talk about this, and it was like a health drink, like a nutrients. That's exactly what he did. So it was kind of funny that.
Yeah, that was BCA.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who did that. Yeah, but that worked. So that's a way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you would bring like a picture of them or something, the logo or something.
Yeah, and that's also something I'm trying to do is like I feel like we're doing pretty good on the promotion side. One thing I'm trying to grow is like really the production side of it.
Okay.
And trying to add like different things, like
more cameras or stuff.
Yeah, and just get better like podcasts.
So the network doesn't provide you with equipment or a studio. You had to make everything yourself.
I basically have I have my laptop and then my these noise canceling headphones that I got.
There's a really good mic that like I saw online and it's only $39. So I was I mean
just let me know.
I mean no they do. They have specific equipment that you could use for podcasting, like little quote unquote podcast kits come like mixers and stuff.
Mics where those are nice.
USB connectors. I don't like them, but they do work. So
right, yeah, I've used one of those before and they definitely work and their sound quality is absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah.
How do you connect to your co-host then? Are you on the StreamYard or something
chat?
like that?
We are.
YouTube?
So I use this one called Riverside. We did start out using StreamYard. StreamYard was a little bit too pricey for me, but I switched over to Riverside.
I thought they were expensive too. Actually,
and, I mean, really all of them are. But like, I mean, I really like Riverside. Mainly because like. And they all do the same thing, but just like with the AI proponent of it, to where you can go in and like when you finish doing the podcast, you can do AI like AI programming, and basically what it will do, it will like export the show onto your computer, and then also you can clip it into different clips of the show.
Make the little reels and
like reels and TikToks.
Yeah.
And I'll put those on our TikTok page. And a lot we've been getting a lot of
those pop off.
Yeah, those pop off on Twitter or on Twitter, not on Twitter, on TikTok.
And TikTok and X.
And because usually if people miss the show, I'm like, hey, here's what you missed, and I basically will put like a compilation of the different.
Does it actually do it like right after the show? You have to make it do it.
You have to make it do it, yeah. So
X got too wild for me after old Elon took over.
I don't.
Well, this is a different program. This is called Riverside.
Yeah, it's called Riverside. Yeah.
Well,
we live stream through X, but like I know I have so many things that I still want to do. There's stuff, but it's gonna come one time. Other things I wanted to talk about is that like I'm also thinking about getting media credentialed because there is Big 12 Media Days in July in Dallas.
Sure.
And talking about
that's cool.
Yeah. So
Believe should help you with that, or maybe the Riverside.
Yeah,
could,
but
I think it's
could
Believe.
help.
Yeah, Believe will do that for you.
I should email like, hey, I want to be credentialed and go down. And be
Can I get a press pass?
Yeah, I got a press pass for that.
Yeah, media credentials, media pass, press pass, same thing. Yep.
Yeah. And like go down there, talk, and then really just get a perspective of like the entire Big 12, and also talk to some other.
You want to get that courtside spot, like where they always run over and trip on you, like in the NBA, but you're Iowa State. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No, where the player goes, "Hey kid, catch," throws you a towel.
Exactly. Right there. I mean, I don't know where the press box. Well, the press boxes are usually right near there anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool setup you're doing there. And again, have not met your co-host in person.
No, not yet.
That's so cool. I like that.
That's the thing. It's cool how much we have in common. Like we're gonna be doing like after the coaching one. Me and my friend, his name is Eric. We usually would do bonus episodes on like football recruiting because a lot of people are still interested in recruiting. And like at least with Iowa State, like you can either people will either use a transfer portal to get their whole team, or they still would do I think which is good, a balance of recruiting plus portal to like supplement all the other positions you need. But we always will talk about the different types of the different recruits coming in. We just did an offensive episode about a week ago, and then we'll do like this is the time right now from like April to like July when we basically come up with like different things. I know we did at least for YouTube last year, like we did this thing called game watches. So we basically go back and recap our favorite games that we probably like games we ever watched or from the previous season, and that's what we did.
What about sports betting? You haven't mentioned talking about sports betting at all.
I'm doing we use so like
usually, or like the influence on the game. Just talking about the topic, maybe not actually giving advice.
So the influence on the game, like we usually will. Like in our like Big 12 segments, we'll talk about like the point spreads.
That's what I'm talking about. You do mention stuff like that.
We talk about the point spreads and stuff. We're like, hey, like if we like know like the teams and stuff, we're like, okay, I would advise you probably to bet the over, especially if we know that their defenses are horrible. I'm like, I would bet the over in this situation because both of these defenses are horrible, and we basically will look at like different. Like the games previous, and then also how the team is playing currently, and then basically we'll talk about that's how we incorporate.
So you're telling them to bet the over or the under base. You're talking about betting, then you are talking about betting. Okay, betting, that's great. I just thought about it. I was like, man, this would be another good topic to be bringing. But you bring it up.
We do talk about betting. Because obviously now we're
how good are you guys at predicting? In the last year, at least.
Yeah, last year. We weren't. We were okay. We weren't that good. All I know is that like we did a win totals episode. We did a 3-part podcast three separate episodes, and we talked about the win totals because the win totals are now for every Big 12 team is out on FanDuel. So we looked at FanDuel and looked at that, and then what we did is that we went through each team's schedule, and we're like, okay, where do you see like certain stretches in their schedule? We're like, okay, like in this stretch, how do you see them going? Because this stretch could make or break their season. And then basically just thinking, I'm like, okay, do you really think they're gonna hit their win total? Yes or no? And really trying to do a deep dive.
Yeah. You mean they have it all figured? They need this many amount, this amount of win. Like when you're talking win totals.
Yeah, win totals. Like so, usually like with win totals for a team for like football or whatever, they'll put it at like 7.5 or 6.5, and that's usually the over under. So if you think that they're
that applies to college and pro, doesn't
college
it?
And pro, yeah. So like with that, if you say like, hey. Let's say like this year, Iowa State's win total is 7.5. I am going to bet the over on that, but a lot of people are only going to say it's 7.5 because 2 of their best receivers are going to the draft.
I'm going to bet 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I say 9 or 10. That's
okay.
You said they were predicting 7.5. Is what you said?
7.5 wins. So like probably like about 8 and 4, 7 and 5.
Okay.
So, but like
I've never bet on that. I do bet on stuff, but not that.
That's usually that's actually a pretty fun thing to bet on, especially if you like. I would advise that if you really know like the team, if you're like a really like well versed.
Don't you have to bet on that right at the beginning of the season then, or is there a limit when you do that type of bet?
Yeah, I think it's like right before the season starts. Usually.
I've never bet before, but I think the only thing I'd ever bet on is probably horse races, just because everybody talks about betting on the horse races.
Well, Joe, you should bet with my bookie.
Thanks for your sponsorship. Shout out.
He's talking football, but when you get into betting, there's so many things you can.
They got that on horse races.
You could bet like who's going to come out of the gate first, or who's going to win the coin toss. That stuff. I mean,
who's on first? What's on second?
Yeah, so many different prop bets. Like
there are prop bets. Thank you.
There's a lot of prop bets, but like like another promo. If you guys sign up with my bookie, and you use the promo code MM50. And you mentioned
it's legal now, right?
It's legal now. Yes. Okay. It's legal in Illinois.
MM50 on my
bookie, and you mentioned the Believe in Iowa State podcast. You spell believe BLEAV. You'll be signed up, and then you'll be ready to.
Wait, you said that real fast. Say it all again if you want to do the bookie.
Yes. So to sign up with us for my bookie, put in the promo code MM50, and then you mention when you sign up, mention the Believe in Iowa State podcast.
Awesome.
So
And that my bookie is like a website or
yes,
okay.
it's
and
a
their
betting-
sponsor.
and
their sponsor,
yeah.
right? That's your sponsor. I
So,
just want to be
we-
clear.
Yeah,
A website. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that's why I use an app.
yeah.
But there's ones like the casinos have them now. I couldn't believe that.
Oh, they definitely do. Yeah. I know Barstool has one. Fanatics has one. I'm like basically, like
Caesars
has
one. Rivers has one. Bet Rivers.
Bet Rivers. Yeah.
I got to talk on Barstool once.
Really?
I called in and they were asking like favorite movies, and I brought up Whiplash.
I don't even know. Did they start as a podcast or like a betting service? I'm really
I think they
unclear
off,
what
I
Portnoy
XM
started
or
as.
something, right?
I think they started off as XM and then they moved to a podcast because I believe they were based on the East Coast and they moved their headquarters to Chicago.
I
What
love
did
how
he-
pissed all the pizza
What
places
did he
get
start
when
doing? Wait, hold on. What did he start doing? That's what I was unclear on. Why he started being on the radio? I know who he is. I just didn't understand where.
David Portnoy.
Yeah, but where did he come from? What did that all start? I thought it was betting.
His parents, they had a part in the.
Oh well, his
Just,
parents
you know,
made
where-
him.
where did he
Sure,
come
they brought him
from?
in, right?
He's originally from Boston.
Oh,
but
that's- yeah,
went
you could tell.
Yeah, and he went to Michigan.
But,
So
like the videos I see of him are doing like stunts. It has nothing to do with betting. That's what I'm getting at. I'm like confused as to where he came about or why he came about as the big thing. Like bet with the what's Portnoy's again? What is it called?
Barstool.
Yeah, Barstool Sports.
I blame Pink Whitney. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think with Barstool, like they want to go away from like the traditional like sporting landscape, which is that's how Pat McAfee got to start. He was on Barstool, and then he created his own thing.
Okay,
And that's why
I didn't know that.
And like
I did not know that.
that
yeah.
type of sports landscape where it's like where you can like talk sports with your bros. That like really connects with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like so like talk like the way that like the Pat McAfee show is very popular and they eventually landed them on ESPN. Like
Mhm.
like that it seems like when you watch that show, like I used to be like an avid listener, not really as much anymore. But like
What about
being
Rich
able to-
Eisen? You're talking about all these guys. Rich Eisen does like now he's like not even doing sports though. He'll just do any
right?
guest. They won't even just talk
that's
sports.
what usually happens. Usually you start and then and it opens doors for other things.
Diversified portfolio.
Yeah, like there's former football players that are on like Michael Strahan, who played for the Giants, is on Good Morning America.
Yeah, was he on like
Nate
Dancing with
Burles-
the
yeah.
Stars too?
And Nate Burleson is now like a news guy on CBS. So like I think maybe it's to open other doors, and something other than sports.
Network's a great thing.
So are you guys thinking about maybe getting away from just talking about football and basketball from Iowa State then?
That'll be something that we're probably gonna have to explore. I know, we're gonna be doing. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, and we're gonna be doing because it's the off season. We're gonna be doing a WrestleMania preview show. So
all right, There
You
you
should
go.
come with me to the movie premiere next month. Primal Moon's song "This One's for You" is in a wrestling film. And there's gonna be Al Snow's gonna be there. There's gonna be pro
actual wrestlers there.
Speaking of that, I was at the speaking of pro wrestling, I went to a New Japan pro wrestling event in Chicago on Friday.
Oh yeah,
And that was
Say
my
it
first
again.
show. New Japan pro wrestling.
One of my friends is in Japan as like a deathmatch wrestler.
Yeah.
He's Akira. Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's from Olivet. Yeah.
Huh.
See, there's a
Joe
lot
knows
to talk about.
everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about besides just Iowa State out there.
Yeah.
But I like that you did touch on the betting. That I got to pay attention now. See what you guys are talking about. I like that whole wins. Betting on the win. I've never even thought about doing that. I guess it's not a big. Is that not a big bet?
Not really, because a lot of people will like to focus on the same game parlays. Mainly
Me.
same game parlays. So having is this person going to score this many touchdowns or this many hits or score this many points, like in indie sport. A lot of people like to do that or bet on the point spread.
I do the point spread a lot too. Yes,
everybody
I
likes to
do.
do the point spread. And and then obviously the money line. Mainly just money line, just because if you're confident.
I was gonna say I've never been that confident with the money line. I'll do
Exactly.
it, but it's not my favorite bet. But now I got to listen just so I can hear you guys' advice on the wins and stuff. So
yeah, no, yeah, those were a few weeks ago. So yeah, go back and listen to those. Those are in the feed.
But that'll happen for next year, for next season, for both football and basketball.
For both football and basketball. The basketball probably hasn't come out yet. Those probably won't be out until like September or August, because it's the off season right now for college.
Yeah, because we're already at the end. I mean, it's going to end here. It's already going to be May. So
yeah, and then
time's flying.
It is, yeah, time's flying.
What's been the biggest thing you've learned in the podcast so far?
Man, the biggest thing I've learned through podcasting is that it's not gonna happen overnight. You really, really got to put the work in.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Exactly. Much. Yeah, it is. It's the long game, and like really, like be intentional on putting out like quality content and like showing people that you're really, really passionate about what you talk about. I think that helps. And then also really having a good support system. Like I've been blessed to have a good support system with my parents, and like all my other friends, who like to see me.
How many people are you getting watching in general?
Probably only, like for our live streams, really only about like 50 to 100.
When I see your podcast pop
50
up,
to 100 people or 1,000?
50 to 100 people.
Oh, okay.
I like to share it sometimes whenever I see it pop up at times, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna share it for you.
Yeah, so really like having people share it, and like just like the way like we talk, like what we're trying to do, and like I have some like friends like at church who are also supporting me.
Yeah,
they were like, I'm really interested in this, and I don't really pay attention to sports.
Well, so the Believe Network has probably got more than 100, 150, or 50. There's where you're getting your numbers from,
right? And like connecting with, and the good thing is that that's one thing I'm going to take advantage of this year, is that there are other teams in the Big 12 conference that have Believe podcast that I'm going to be linking up with. That
you want to do that, yeah.
It's like we're trying to do preview shows
before a game, like between two different teams. That would be freaking awesome.
And because I know like originally what we wanted to do was like try to get like different fans on, but like if we can get like different people from those podcasts on, get
great cross promo,
and have a great cross promo for that. And like we did it with Believe in Iowa. And we had that when we had like a 4 screens, and it's on that episode's on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
I want to come on and talk betting with you.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah,
so you got a future guest right here.
All right.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on. That flew by. Jeez,
sure did.
All these few, but this one really did, because we were really into what you're talking about. So okay, again, where we find you? Say it again.
All right. So we are the Believe in Iowa State podcast. We can be found on any of your favorite podcasting locations. So iHeartRadio, we're on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Podbean.
X, obviously. You stream on X,
we
right?
Stream on X. We stream on Facebook. Go on like the Facebook page, which is Believe in Iowa State.
Yeah.
We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We are on YouTube.
Do we find you under your name too, or just the name of the podcast?
Just the name of the podcast, but for the live streams, we do it through my page, for Facebook and for X. So
how do you spell your name again? Say that real quick.
Tyler's Tyler, and then Carter Carter.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on and talking about this. This is exciting. I can't wait to check it out again. And like I said, I want to come on and talk betting with you one day. We'll talk about Iowa State betting. That's fine. We'll keep it.
Sure,
we'll keep it to the topic. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do, is talk about college sports betting.
Definitely.
So
I love it.
That'll be good. So thanks again for being on.
Thank you for
good to meet you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe, for being here, like always. Thank you, Libby, for being with us, and everybody for listening. And you can again find us pretty much on the same stuff he's on, except not the Believe Network. We're on. We'll be on radio stations though pretty soon.
Right.
Everybody keep listening, and everybody have a good rest of the Holy Week and the Passover and everything. We'll talk to you next time here on Bell and Company.
Bye.
Take care.
Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Go Sack.